This lesson is from Essalon, and it's 4 cardinal lines with Errol Flynn arms, also known as Egyptian dancing, and that's my title. So don't go up to some Feldenkrais teacher and say, I want to do Egyptian dancing thing, because they won't know what you're talking about. I make up the lessons titles according to what I think, because that's the only way you can kind of remember, in my opinion. So let's start standing and just feel your bones. And feel the length of your bones, the length of your right leg, length of your left leg. Try to get a sense of it. And then feel the length of your left and right arm. And then it's kind of like a stick figure. There's also another line there. That's your spine. And just for fun, why don't you lift one leg? And Peggy, I can't see you at all. There you are.
Sorry, I had to go. I'm sorry.
Okay. I thought you were hiding. And then lift the other leg. Just see how heavy or light it feels. And then lift an arm. And lift another arm. And just notice the quality of the movement. Good. And then take a little baby walk around the room. And when you're ready, come to your lily pad. Thank you, Jeanette, so I can see you. I think it needs to go. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Andrew. Peggy, I'll have to lie on my side. No, you're good, never mind. It was just momentary.
I just stumbled over, but I'm fine.
Yeah, I'll have to levitate in order to watch you. All right, everybody. So now, lie on your back with your legs apart normally and your hands near your body comfortably. So you want to sense your legs as though they were a line, like a stick drawing. So sense your right leg from the heel to the hip. And then sense your left leg and see which one is longer, heavier, lighter, clearer in your mind's eye. And then scan the line of your spine from the coccyx to the vertebra that's sort of at the bottom of your skull. See if it's straight, curvy. And then sense your arms and sense the length and line of your right arm. And then your left arm. And then roll your head a little bit from one side to the other. And now, lift the line of your right leg. Just do that once or twice. There you go. So you're just lifting up your right leg, Jeanette. Lift up the line. Yeah, you do it with the leg, not the arm. Yeah. And then lift the left leg and just see which leg is lighter, which leg is easier to lift, which leg is clearer. And then let that go. Lift up your right arm. Same way. Just a little bit off the floor. Do it a couple of times, just an inch or two. And then lift the left arm. And then bend your knees and stand your feet. Have both arms at shoulder height. And now lift your right shoulder a little bit. Just lift it up and put it down. Notice your breathing. Not too much effort. And now let the lifting of the right shoulder roll your head to the left. So make it like a wave. So you're lifting up the right shoulder and then that turns the head. That's right, Andrew. Everybody's dark. I wish I had spotlights that I could put on you all. If it doesn't bother you and you can light yourselves up, that would be great so that I could see you a little bit better, just for future reference. Good, and then let that go, pause. And now lift your left shoulder just a couple of times. And then begin to turn your left arm in and let that movement roll your head to the right. So that's right, Beth Ann, you're rotating your palm down on the left, and that movement ripples through your arm to your neck and turns your head to the right. Do that, play with that movement for a bit. Take your time. How smooth can you make this? Can you make it seamless? Good. Pause. Rest. And now, fun, 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 you're going to alternate. So lift one shoulder and let it roll the head the opposite way, and then the other shoulder. And can you sort of steer, think of your clavicles, your collarbone. That bone is involved, right? When you're rolling your shoulder, lifting your shoulder, sort of gently tosses. It's like a very slow-mo ping pong game or volleyball game. Your head just sort of lazily rolls from one side to the other. So just play with that. You can steer from lifting the shoulder. You can think of lifting the clavicle. Play around with the impetus where the movement originates. And when you've had enough, straighten your legs and take a rest. As you're resting, can you feel a change already in the contact with the floor and maybe the way the cardinal lines feel? Maybe they've evened out a little bit or they're clearer. I think Feldenkrais thought that this is how people envisioned the body. Is, it would be very obvious if there were two long lines, a line in the middle, and then two lines extending, and then a little circle. Most people would probably associate that with the human figure, with the human outline. So if it helps you to think of it that way during the lesson, this is what the lesson is about, the cardinal lines. Okay, roll the head from side to side. And then bend your knees, bring your feet to standing. And now fun, fun, fun. You're going to tip your pelvis so that you bring your tail away from the floor. So you're going to lift your tailbone a little bit. And as you do that, put your mind's eye on your shoulders. What's happening when you're lifting your tailbone? What's happening in your shoulders at that moment? Figure that out. Let that go, pause. And remember, if you're really having fun with something, I don't mind if you keep going with it. I don't always know when you're ready for a break, but you do. Now we're going to go to the other end of the torso, so begin to lift both shoulders. So you're going to roll them forward and feel what happens to your chest. Can you feel your sternum sinking down? Top of your spine making more contact with the floor or the mat? And then fold in, tipping the tailbone as you're bringing the shoulders forward. So everything is kind of curving. So you're lifting the tail and shoulders at the same time, and then releasing. It'll make your stomach go down, stomach flatten. And then a few times, either imagine or just begin to lift your head a little bit as you're rolling the shoulders forward and bringing the tailbone forward. Begin to lift the head. A little bit. That's right, Jeanette. Small movement. You can also imagine the movement. And you can go back to just the shoulders and tail for a moment and then play with that. And when you're done, take a full rest. You can lengthen your legs when you're ready. Full rest. What does it mean to fully rest? Something that I think a lot of people don't really think about or get the opportunity to do. I just recorded an episode on use versus overuse. And the doctor made the very valid point that human beings used to have a cycle of action and repose. And we really don't get that much. We're really go, 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 constantly go species now. It's hard for a lot of people just to take a break and do nothing. Sit. So here's a chance to practice that, just the doing nothing business. And then roll your head a little side to side. Bend your knees, bring your feet to standing, and your arms are out to the side. Oh, wait a minute, your arms are by your side. I misspoke, sorry. So now you're going to bring the shoulder blade back. So think of pressing the shoulder blade into the floor. This is going to externally rotate the arm. The arm will open up. And now, bring your arms to the side. And reach with your right arm, just sort of slide it along the floor. Yeah, that's right. And it'll naturally pull your head. So you're not sweeping it up and down, Peggy. Reach toward the camera. It's a right angle. Now reach toward me. Yes. And let that movement move your head. That's right, Andrew. So as you're reaching, it's pulling the head a little bit. So let it pull your head to look at your right hand. As you're reaching, your head is pulling, you're looking at your hand as though you were fencing or trying to touch someone. So you're looking where you're going. And feel that line elongate. And now you're going to press into the floor with your left foot, so you're rolling the pelvis to the right. So press your left foot, lift your left hip a little bit. Do that a few times. Pressing into the left, lifting the left hip, rolling over onto the right hip. Now, when would it make sense to use that movement to help you elongate the right arm? So put everything together. You're pressing into the left foot, the movement's traveling through your hip and spine over to the opposite shoulder. And look at your right hand and play with that movement. Hips rolling. So it starts at the foot, then the hip lifts, then you're traveling across your torso to the opposite shoulder, elongating the right arm, and the head is looking. Keep the hand on the floor, Peggy. And when you're ready, you can lengthen your legs and rest. Roll your head from side to side. See how that feels? Good, everybody. Now bend your knees and bring your feet to stand. And begin to externally rotate your left arm. That means turn the palm up and reach out a little bit. So you're going to turn it up, press the shoulder blade down, and reach a little bit with your left arm. That's going to bring your head to the left. Arms are out to the side. Under the shoulders, barely. And reaching with the left. Turning it out. Letting it pull the head. Now press through the right foot to lift the right hip. Do that a few times. Let go of the arm for a minute. Pressing into the right foot, it's rolling over you onto your left. And feel how that movement will connect with the shoulder through your spine and collarbone. Now rotate the left shoulder and reach as though you were fencing. Left shoulder is back, pressing into the right foot, rolling through the hips. Good, and then straighten your head, straighten your legs, and rest. Roll your head from side to side, and then bend your knees and bring your feet to standing, and the arms are at shoulder height. And now you're going to bring your tailbone closer to the floor. So bring the tail down, makes you arch your back a little bit. Notice what happens between your shoulder blades when you do that. You're bringing the tailbone down as though you're trying to drill a hole in the floor. And notice that tilting the pelvis moves your chest in a certain way. So externally rotate both arms and bring the shoulder blades back and down and bring the shoulder tailbone into the floor. So it's kind of like a little yawn or stretch or something. So you're rotating the palms up, shoulder blades are down, tailbone is down, and the back is slightly arched. Do that, play that. As you do that, imagine the lines of your arms getting longer. And then let that go and rest. And compare the lines of your legs, compare the lines of your spine, your arms, where your collarbone connects to your sternum down to your hands. How have things changed? And then roll your head from side to side. And now lift your right leg. Lift it up an inch and put it down. So lift the heel off the floor and put it down. And then lift your left leg. Does it feel lighter? Put it down. Then lift your right arm a little bit. And your left arm. And then bend both your knees and bring your feet to standing. Arms are at shoulder height. And roll both arms down and take your tail away from the floor. So the palms are coming inward and the tail is coming up. So now you're rounding your back a little bit. Palms come down as the tail lifts. Yeah. And then alternate. So you're going to come to neutral and then go the other direction. You press your shoulders and put the tail down, and then you'll come back to neutral, round the shoulders, bring the tail up, and go back and forth like that, undulating through the spine. And feel how all the lines are relating to one another. And then go a little quicker, lighter, and smaller. So, boop, 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 boop. Start slowly so you're coordinated. And then get quicker, smaller, lighter. You can sort of leave the arms out if it's distracting and just do the tail, and that's right. The arms will do a little bit, but you can focus on your tail and your spine. Quick, 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 quick. And when you've had enough speed, you can relax. If you're enjoying this, you can keep going. Relax, relax, relax. Good. Roll your head side to side, bend your knees, bring your feet to stand with the arms shoulder height, and the feet are wide. And lean into the floor with your right foot, lift up your right hip, and then lean into the left floor, the left foot with your left foot, and lift your left hip. So you're alternating, lifting the right hip, lifting the left hip by pressing into the foot. Rolling across your pelvis. And a few times, lift your right foot away from the floor as you're pressing into the left. And vice versa. See how it tips the pelvis a little bit. And then lift your left foot a few times. So you're going to alternate lifting one foot and then the other. Obviously, you're lifting the foot that you're not pressing into. Press into the foot, lift the opposite foot. And let go of that and rest. Bend your knees and stand your feet. Arms are shoulder height. And lean into the floor with your right foot and then your left foot. And you're going to lift the foot you're not leaning into away from the floor. It's sort of like walking. Just a little bit, lifting the foot right and left. Now, as you're doing that, notice, observe if you have slightly different strategies for making the same movement. Is it easier to lift the right foot or the left foot? Just notice what it is for you, and when you've got that down, take another rest. Good, then bend your knees, bring your feet to standing, extend your arms out shoulder height, and alternate reaching one arm, externally rotate, and then the other. So now if you're reaching the right arm, turn the left arm down. If you're reaching out with the left arm, rotate the right palm down. So the palms will be alternating between up and down, and you're looking at the up palm going back and forth. And feel how these two arms work together through your spine. So one arm internally rotates while the other one externally rotates. Good. And then pause. Now we're going to add the legs. Reach with one arm, and with the arm that you're reaching, press the opposite foot into the floor. So you're not really lifting the foot, you're pressing into the floor to help you. Both feet are on the floor. You're pressing the foot opposite the reaching arm. So just put everything together, coordinate that. And now, whatever arm is reaching, lift that leg. So if you're reaching with your right, that's it, Andrew. If you're reaching with your right arm, lift your right leg, and vice versa. Play with that movement for a while. And then when you're finished playing with that, let go and rest. Roll your head from one side to the other. And now lift your right leg. An inch. See how that feels? Lift your left leg. Lift your right arm. Lift your left arm. And just notice if there's been any change. And then bend your knees and come to sitting for a few moments. So you can sit cross-legged or have your legs spread or straight, whatever you can manage. And bring your arms shoulder height or a little below. And now reach, and whichever arm you're not reaching with turns in. So you're doing the same thing that you did, the same sort of. So one palm is coming, the reaching palm is up, the other arm is down. That's right, Beth Ann. So it's sort of like an Egyptian dance. So you're looking toward the up palm, turning the other one down. And feel how it pulls you over to the hip or sitting bone. You know, you can rest whenever you need to on this. It can get a little tiring. Everybody take a little break. We'll do a couple of other things while we're sitting here. So one of the things you can do is keep your elbows bent. So this gives sort of a fluid movement. You can try that. Just remember to turn one palm up, one palm down, and you're looking toward the up. That's right, Andrew. Looking toward the up palm. And you're shifting your weight. You're all doing that naturally. Good. And when you've had enough of that, you can lie down again. Exhausting. I know. These Feldenkrais lessons can be so much. So feel what it's like to be horizontal and compare your lines, how they feel now. Now bend your knees and have both arms at shoulder height. Now bend your elbows so that the elbows, the fingertips are facing the ceiling. That's right, Peggy. And the palms are facing down. So, Jeanette, bring your arms to the side and then bend them and bring the hands toward the ceiling. Bring your shoulders down a little bit. Okay, so put your arms in a T. They're too high. Bring them down just a taste. Now bend your elbows and bring the fingertips. Leave the elbows and forearms. Forearms are off the floor. You're just bending your elbows and fingertips are up toward the ceiling. Where's the ceiling? There you go. Okay. So the hands are toward the ceiling. So now bring both hands toward your feet, toward the floor. They don't have to touch. You're just bringing your hands down toward your feet. That's right, Beth Ann. That's right, Jeanette. That's right. Everybody's got it. And do that a few times. Now, as you bring your fingertips down, tip your pelvis away from the floor. So you're going to bring the hands down and lift the tail at the same time. So as the hands coming down, the tail lifts. And now leave your hands down toward your feet and tip the pelvis away from the floor a little right and a little left. So you're going to press, keep your hands down. The hands are down. That's right, Beth Ann. Now press into your right foot and tip the pelvis, and that's going to do something in your shoulders. That constraint is going to make you feel something in your shoulders. So you're just rolling over the pelvis, lifting a little bit right and a little bit left. And then bring your knees to the middle and bring your hands to the ceiling, the way you had them before, like goalposts. And now bring the hands up towards your head and back. And as you do that, you're going to bring your tail down. So it's just the opposite of what we were doing. As the hands come up, the tail goes into the floor. That's right. Only as far as you can, comfortably, really comfortably. And then leave the arms up and just do your pelvis. So you're just going to bring the tail down and then release, and bring the tail down and release, but keep the arms resting somewhere toward your head. Just play with the pelvis a little bit, and when you've had enough, lengthen the legs, lengthen the arms, and rest. So roll your head from one side to the other. See how that feels? Bend your knees, stand your feet. Back to the goalpost arms with the arms by your side. Bend your elbows, bring them straight up to the ceiling. And now, one arm goes toward the floor and one arm goes towards your head. So you're doing the opposite movement. That's right, Beth Ann. That's right, Jeanette. Everybody's got it. This is an interesting movement. You can sort of feel how the shoulder movement changes on the floor behind you. And then let that go and rest. And take a moment to settle in and compare the four lines, the four cardinal lines, or 5 if you count the spine. How do you feel now compared with how you felt when you first started class? Legs are long, arms are by your side. How long are your legs now? And now, with a long right leg, lift it up a little bit, see how it feels. Put it down. And then lift the left leg. Lift the right arm. Lift the left arm. How does all this lifting feel compared to the beginning? Do you remember? And then roll to your side. Come to sitting and come to stand. And then when you're ready, when you're standing, try the movement we did earlier of just lifting one of your legs and then the other one. And then lift one arm and the other arm and just see how it feels now that we've done the lesson. And then go for a little walk and see if your walk has learned anything from this adventure here. And then anybody who wants to comment, I don't know what happened to Peggy, she'll probably come back. Tell me what you thought of the lesson.
This felt like classic Feldenkrais to me, like the epitome. So I just really enjoyed the gentle stretching of it. And my body felt tight coming in, and then I'd say midway through, those lines became much more uniform. The sense of the line of my legs and of my right arm. My left arm still was longer, but it still was like maybe 4 days worth of work on it. That was my experience.
Beth Ann?
I forgot what I was going to say, so let's move on to Jeanette, please. I'm having body issues on the right side, but it feels better now.
Did people notice that the leg felt lighter to lift or the arms felt lighter as the lesson progressed? Even if I know certain it may not have been so easy for you, but it did improve a little bit.
Yes.
The elves were on duty with every scan, actually. But at the end, they were just flying around like, of their own accord, practically.
Isn't that amazing? It's not the first lesson. There are many lessons where you do that reference movement. And there's one in particular where people who have trouble lifting their legs just fly, or their arms. It's just amazing to me, but I interrupted you, Beth Ann. I'm sorry. Please continue.
That's okay. I agree with Andrew's assessment where it felt like a classic Feldenkrais lesson. And I love the idea of the stick figure. I never thought of the lines that way before, and it just makes more sense to me than most of the other highfalutin Feldenkrais explanations of things sometimes. Everything felt much more cohesive as as the lesson progressed. Like, instead of my right side doesn't know what the left side is doing or whatever. And usually this is the kind of, since we were doing T's, which I couldn't do at the beginning. My T is more of a backwards Y. But each scan it started to get more and more comfortable to do a T. That's miraculous for me with my neck and shoulder issues.
Interesting.
So this was a pain-free lesson for me, which hasn't happened in a really long time. So
well, they're all supposed to be pain-free. But it's so hard to when you're learning something new. You very often want to. You don't realize how challenging a movement is until you're in it, and it can be. Hi, Peggy. It can be hard to dial back.
right.
Is there
Hi,
anything?
guys.
Hi. Is there anything you want to add, Beth Ann?
Well, I think that I finally have gotten to the point where I have learned to dial back right away before the pain sets in. As
Good.
I should have been doing all this time. So that felt like another huge win too. It only took like 13 years.
Well, some of us are still working on that, so guilty as charged. So, Peggy, what was the lesson for you?
It was really very interesting. When my original, for me, I love the lesson. The original scan, my left side and my right side were completely different, but the floor scan particularly, as they always are. And my left side, my leg was, instead of being elongated, it was scrunched up. And my arm was not elongated. It too, on the left, because my arm was scrunched up, whereas the right side was stretched out. So throughout the exercise, what I noticed as we went along first was that my left side, it was so obvious that my left side was straightening out, lightening up, particularly my leg. However, my left arm was not doing that. My left arm was still knotted and kind of sore just because of my arthritis. However, towards the last 25% of it, when we started using our hands and bending them and doing this and going back and forward, for some reason, after that was finished, it was almost miraculous. My left arm finally straightened, lightened, and everything.
Wonderful.
The left arm, because of the arthritis, I'm sure, was resistant to the earlier, shoulder stuff, but it just completely opened up when we were doing with the arms, bending forward, backward. It was amazing. I didn't think that was going to happen. I was going to say, well, everything worked except my left shoulder. But it's incredible.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, I'm going to try and remember this particular exercise.
There's a wonderful, he
other
uses
visuals.
that movement, spine like a chain with candelabra arms. These are candelabra arms.
Oh, okay.
And it's wonderful for shoulder, and
Oh,
you know,
run it.
we could do that sometime.
Wow.
But I'm happy to hear that. I think it was Beth Ann saying she liked the stick figure. This idea, because there's a whole. I almost taught it, but I was afraid to teach it since I taught painting last week, and I was afraid it would be too much imagination, because there's the whole scan of the cardinal lines. It's one of these very detailed Feldenkrais things. You know, people have transcribed his lessons. But sometime we could do that if you like it. There's a little bit of movement in this lesson, but it's very quiet. You know, it'd be a good lesson if you're tired. You could just kind of fall asleep. Well, maybe we'll do Spine Like a Chain with Candelabra Arms, since I'm talking
good.
about it, because it's a really, that's an amazing lesson, and this would be a good introduction for it. So maybe next week that's what we will do. Any other comments?
I loved it.
Yeah,
Good.
this is a great one.
Yeah, I like this lesson a lot myself, and I was thinking, oh, this is a good lesson. Because it's, you know, when you lift the leg and it just like flies up there, and, you know, anything where you're just sort of alternating back and forth or pressing and rolling the hips along can just be marvelously tuning and restorative somehow. It sort of calibrates, that's the word I'm thinking of, it calibrates everything and makes you more coordinated. How was your walk? Nobody mentioned walking the second time.
I didn't get to do it because my battery died and I got flustered, so I didn't do it.
Oh,
I was striding at the end in that walk, just very fluid and easy.
did you
Yeah,
notice?
it's more of a stride.
So you were striding too?
Yes.
You know, I have a new client, and you know me, I'm always working on posture. And he said, "You won't believe this, but someone asked me if I had grown taller because he was standing up straighter." Yeah, so it pays. These
Indeed.
posture pays. All right, everybody. Well, it looks like a beautiful fall day. I hope you all enjoy whatever it is you've got on the agenda.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
Everybody.
We'll see you next week.
Great weekend, everyone.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
weekend.
Bye.